Good. All right, Jesse, we're live on YouTube.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. All right, I am calling to order the Narragansett Town Council regular meeting for December 21st, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So everybody, please rise. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
All right, we will start with the approval of minutes for December 7th, 2020, regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I'll make that
motion.
motion.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor? Sorry, Susan,
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Drzezinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
and Patrick.
Why am I last again? Oh,
Alphabetical. It's
Aye.
alphabetical.
aye.
It's like your
Jesse,
name begins with a Z.
Been on here for like 10 years, for God's sake. Do you think I'd get at least a second?
All right,
Yeah,
we're
second,
trying to
baby.
make this a shorter meeting than last time, Patrick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have the December 7th, 2020 executive session minutes.
I'll move the
Is there a
motion.
motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a
Second.
Second
Second.
by Eva. I'll call the vote. Susan,
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Drzezinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick.
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have the December 10th, 2020 executive session minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. We'll call the vote. Susan,
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Drzezinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick.
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved, 5-0. Next, we have the consent agenda. Is there, I'm actually going to remove number 5 to new business. And are there any other items anyone would like to remove from consent?
Jesse, are you, you're going right to the consent agenda before? the
We have, yeah, actually, let's go
Sorry.
back. We have a couple of announcements before we start there. Thanks, Susan. So we're going to start with a announcement and presentation from Chief Corrigan. So Chief, you are on.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen here for a quick presentation. Thanks, Council President, for the time. Good evening tonight. I'm going to share with you an update on the progress the Narragansett Police Department has made with the 20 for 2020 campaign. If you're not familiar, this campaign was created through the efforts of the Rhode Island Police Chief Association, of which I'm a member. The campaign acknowledges that systemic racism exists in our society and in the criminal justice system. Within the campaign document, we defend the profession of policing while disavowing any officer who takes or ruins a human life needlessly. The campaign lists 20 promises and policy changes that are being enacted statewide in an ongoing effort to combat systemic racism and form sustaining foundations for safe and secure communities in Rhode Island. The campaign contains a checklist for each police chief to work on with his or her own department to bring their individual departments into compliance with the campaign's objectives. The checklist that you can see on your screen before you is, this is what I was referring to. Quite a few of these items, actually the majority of these, Narragansett already had in place. We've been working on these issues for a long time here, but there was some work that needed to be done. So we've been diligently doing so. So I'm just going to take you quickly through each of these items. The first one on here is post your department's use of force policy, use of force reporting, complaint processing, and bias-based policing prohibition policies on your department website. So if you go to the town website and choose a police department, this screen's going to pop up for you. This is a screenshot of it. And on that blue bar, you see the highlighted professional standards. If you click on that, you will see a bunch of what we call forward-facing documents that we have on our website. You can click on these and read through these policies. These are not all of our policies. We have over 150 policies here in Narragansett, but these are the ones highlighted are the ones that are referred to in the checklist. And there's several others here that are maybe in interest to the public. On the second item on the checklist is to provide copies of these policies to the Police Chief Association. That has been completed. And then the next item after that is for all departments in the state to seek state accreditation. So on that same screen and on the department website, if you click on accreditation, you'll come here and you'll be able to read the 21-page report that we have published on there. This is our last accreditation assessment that was done in 2018. We've been a state accredited department since 2015. So there's a lot of good information on there. And then on here, this is from our Power DMS program. One of the functions of that, it has our accreditation system in there. I put this in here for you to see an example of what a professional standard in accreditation looks like. There are over 220 standards. Here's an example of one. And then there's always sub-standards that contain within. We have to have a policy that addresses all these issues. And then we have to provide proofs to show that we actually do the things that we say we do. And then every 3 years, the sessions come in and they kind of just go top to bottom in the department, go through all these files, do on-scene inspection and talk to members of the public. And we go through that system. The next item is to create a form in your department website for citizen feedback and complaints. So back to that same home screen for the department website, you'll see there's a section for complaint forms. If you click on that, you'll have an option to choose either English or Spanish. You choose your language. And this is a PDF. We've had this up on our website for a number of years, but what we had to do for the checklist here was tweak the technology to make this a PDF fillable form that you will fill out all the fields, which continue on beyond what you can see here. And then you click send, and it goes directly to my internal affairs officer. So it will notify me of the complaint. We take it from there. The next item is to explore the creation and implementation of a verified Facebook page and Twitter account. And that's a screenshot of our Facebook page right there. We also have Twitter, we have Instagram. Our ACO has a Facebook page, and one of my K9 officers has his own Instagram page, which is probably more popular than all of ours, but the other. Stepping back for a minute, the next item is to post a link to the Department of Justice Civil Rights reporting. And that is found on the complaint form screen. You'll see a link here. If you click on this, it is going to bring you to this page right here. And this is self-explanatory. This is the Department of Justice website. Hit start a report and you can file a complaint with them if you think your constitutional rights have been violated. And I also threw in here just for your information, on our website, we do publish some forward-facing documents that are reports. Every year we do a review of our use of force for the past year, so you can read about that. And every year we do an annual complaint report, so you can see how many complaints were filed against police from the public and how many complaints came from within through supervisors. Next item up here is the body and cruiser cameras, which we do not have that program. So we've been doing a lot of research on that, which our campaign calls for. The Police Chief Association has been doing a lot of research, and so is the Attorney General's office. Basically, we're trying to find federal funding, state funding, everything. It's a very expensive program. So I've been putting that information together. I got a capital line ready for the council. I'll speak to you about that during the spring budget sessions, but I just want to let you know that it's coming. And one of the requirements of our campaign here is to present our findings to our local approving body, which is you. So we will do that. And then calls for an officer wellness program. This is some highlighted section from our table of contents of our policies. You can see we have an employee assistance program, a voluntary physical fitness assessment plan, police chaplain, and an internal peer support team. This is all to try and help our officers, as well as an early warning system. So we try and, if the officers are developing any trouble, we try and catch it early and get them the service they need. And then next item on here was to incorporate language into our policies and procedures requiring that all use of force incidents statewide that meet the FBI CDIS use of force database will be submitted to the FBI. So when this came online with the FBI in 2019, we did register and became a participating department. This screenshot right here comes from their website. You got to search around a little bit for it, but they have a spreadsheet that lists every participating department in the entire country. So these are the departments that are participating in Rhode Island, and here we are. So the next item is it calls for the face-to-face interactions with the public. I did a public forum at the end of September. Didn't get a lot of participation. I think people are burned out with Zoom meetings and overwhelmed with information these days. So thank you for having me here tonight to give me a broader audience and to get this information out. And there'll be 2 more done after tonight, later in the year. Getting towards the end of the checklist here, calls for external trainings to incorporate training resources or book a speaker from a social justice community relations organization at least once per year. Obviously with COVID, we're not in a situation to do that. So we've been relying on training programs. So I put up a couple of officers training certificate as examples here. The entire department went through prejudice and bias training. This particular officer right here is one of my school resource officers, went through a de-escalation train the trainer course. So now he's certified to train other officers back here at the station to kind of complement what they do at the police academy. And then we have another officer here who has been through he's one of my crisis intervention team officers. And another training that we had recently had to do with, it's called Weaponizing the Police. Basically what this training course was about when people use their bias to try and attack another member of society by calling the police, and they may call them up and say a suspicious person, or they may make things up to try and get the cops to go after them. And it's a training program to try and help us detect when that is occurring. And then the last item is to review the NAACP's standards every law enforcement agency should have. We have, when this program started, we had all but one of these we already had in use. We already had the programs for it, except for the foot pursuit policy, which I researched, and we got that online, and the policy was published today and is on our department website right now for you to review. So that's the entire checklist. If anybody has any question, I know it's a lot of information. I also have the PowerPoint from the public forum that I did in September is published on that same location on the website. If you want to go slide by slide at a more leisurely pace. And if you have any questions about any of this material, always feel free to email me or call me at the station. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate you sharing that info. I know that campaign is something you guys have been participating in, at least over the last year. And like you said, a lot of these policies you had already had implemented and were complying with. But it's good just to kind of share all the info and let everybody know what you guys have been working on to, keep improving at what you do. So thank you,
Thank you.
for that.
Excellent job, Chief. Excellent.
Thank you, Susan.
And next we have a statement from Councilwoman or Council Member Cicilline Bonanno about the Senior Center meal distribution that Parks and Rec has been working on. So
Yeah.
Susan, go ahead.
I just wanted to, highlight some great things that are happening in the town of Narragansett. And I think it's important in the time of COVID that we really pay attention, just like that presentation by the chief. So I just wanted to highlight the Park and Rec, the Community Center, and the Senior Center have participated in a program for meals for over in 183 days since March 24th, 2020. The town staff delivered 6,772 meals to residents. They provided grab-and-go meals to 2,550 residents and traveled 11,520 miles. The work during the pandemic has been amazing, and I just wanted to highlight all the people who have been involved, especially Steve Wright, Karen Flint, Kristen Mancini, and Kevin Farrell for the work that they've done in the community. It's outstanding, and difficult times, wonderful work. So thank you. And the other one I wanted to recognize, there is a program going on at Sunset Farm. It's meals for the first responders and those in need. And it's by Ethan Farrell, and he's offering meals if you're in need up until December 23rd. And you can contact him at 450-2891 if you are interested in a meal. It's ham, prime rib, or a turkey dinner. And certainly at this time, it's a good opportunity. So give a call if there's a need there. And that's all I have for highlights.
Cool. Thank you, Susan. So actually, what we're going to do next, and I kind of overlooked this because it has been a couple years since we've done this, but we are going to open forum since we did vote last meeting to move that back up on the agenda before consent. So we have about 10 minutes now before our public hearings. So if anyone would like to speak in the open forum portion of the meeting, go ahead and raise your hand now, and we will make sure to call on you.
First person we've got is Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, Boston Neck Road, Narragansett. I wanted to commend you on your successful campaign now that you're all in place. And I was hoping that you would initiate a new campaign while in office to minimize taxes in a fair and equitable fashion with justice for all. I must first commend the town manager and local 1033 for their recent no pay increase action. I also wanted you to note that I read in the Jamestown Press that the State House Finance Committee voted for no tax increases or fee increases. I hope that you all will follow that action with no tax increases and no fee increases for this difficult year. I want to note that at the last meeting, there was a rental fee increase from $85 to $120 per unit. That impacted two of my apartments that have CNAs working. It impacted a single mother who works at a drugstore who was about 5 months behind on her rent. It impacted a family whose daughter got COVID and the mother could no longer work for a few weeks. And it also impacts a fellow who collects your garbage. These are the kind of people that are impacted by your increase in fees. And this is all to pay for a list at the building inspector's area. I guess there's almost 200,000 there. And I guess that's just pennies, but it is 200,000 or almost that, as far as I know. And I just want you to pay attention to every financial issue to make sure it's fair, it's needed, and evaluated, and not just ignore it because we've done it the last year or the last 5 years. And I appreciate you consider the finances going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stanley.
Next, we have Catherine Seliberta.
Catherine, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Seliberta, 48 Earls Court. I'd like to encourage everyone to be tested. Right now, I think about 36% of the population in Narragansett has been tested. All you have to do is go on portalrhodeisland.gov. There's a lot of confusing information on that website. It implies that if you are asymptomatic and you haven't been in contact with somebody with symptoms, you're not going to get a test. Au contraire is all I can say. Just keep plowing ahead on the website, fill out the form, give them the information you want to give them. You don't even have to give them a lot of information. Sometimes they'll ask for your insurance information. You don't have to give it. If you don't have insurance, you can get tested for free. And there's a testing site at South Road School, which is 7 days a week and has a lot of openings. So I want to encourage people to go on that website and really ignore the contradictory information and just fill out the form and get tested. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. This is a great message. Appreciate it. Dan, is there anybody else?
Nobody else at this time.
All right, so we will move to consent agenda. And we are going to remove number 5 and move that to new business. Or we'll start with that after this vote. Were there any other items that anyone wanted to remove from consent? No? All right. So we'll go ahead and take the vote. Susan?
Do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I'll move that motion.
Okay, and I'll second that motion.
Great. Any comments? Nope. Susan, we'll take the vote.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva? Oh, you're on mute.
Eva Trzynski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. All right, so number 5 on consent. There is, I believe, some updated information, or there was, I guess, incorrect information in this motion. So I just wanted to go to the chief quickly for correction on that.
Yes,
Put it
Mike.
up for a motion first, though, Jesse, no? So we can talk about it?
Right, yes, thanks, Susan.
All right.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Susan
All right, go
Cicilline
ahead,
Bonanno, aye.
Eva Trzynski, aye.
Wait, we don't have to vote.
Well, we're gonna talk about, right?
Right,
Number
but we don't have
5.
to vote on it.
Yeah, but we don't vote yet.
Yeah. Sorry, we're good. Chief, go ahead.
Yes, on the council communication, I indicate this is the service to mount the 3 mobile data terminals. It's correction. This is to mount 2 MDTs in our cars. What happened is one of the 3 cars is a K9 vehicle, so it got a different mount system for the MDT. So that was handled separately. So if you look at the invoice that's attached to this, it indicates quantity 2. So that's correct. This is a request for 2 mounts.
Okay. All
So
right.
the K9 was a dog friendly MDT tablet. Okay, understood.
All right. So the invoice is correct with the 2. So that's what we'll be approving. Just real quick, Terry, do you recommend that we amend the motion to say 2, or do you think the invoice saying 2 is sufficient?
You could amend the motion to indicate that the amount of the invoice is correct, but the total number of tablets is 2.
I'll move that motion.
I'll second that.
All right. So let's take a vote of the amendment. We'll start with you, Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Trzynski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
All right. Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion to amend approved 5-0. Are there any comments or questions on the main motion itself? Nope. All right. So let's take a vote on the on the main motion. Susan,
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopic, aye.
and Patrick.
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. All right, so we will go to this. We have motion number 12 from the engineering department. A motion to read, pass, and adopt a second read an ordinance and amendment of Chapter 78, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett, Rhode Island, entitled Utilities, Water Rates, and Charges.
I'll move the motion.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, so this is a second reading of the ordinance that we voted on last week. These were the scheduled changes to the water utility rates. So are there any comments from the council on this or any questions? No? Anyone from the public?
Yes, we have Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, full name and address, please.
Stanley Wojciechowski, Boston Neck Road, Narragansett. I kind of missed this the last time. I just would like to know if there's a significant increase and kind of where that may be. I just didn't see any details. I'm sorry. But if you could just give me a summary of the increases and why they may be. Is that possible?
Yeah, we could do that really quickly, and then we're going to go to the public hearing. John, do you mind just giving a quick summary of this?
Yes, I could do that, Council President. There really aren't any actual increases to what the fees that ultimately get charged to for each of these line items. We're just bringing the prices and the deposits that they pay when they come into to get their permits and to apply for these services up to current construction costs and current costs based on our supply contracts and our utility maintenance contract. So there's no net increase to either the fees or to our revenues expected. It's just to make these estimated costs that are paid up front in line with the current cost, because the prices that are in the ordinance now that we've been billing have been billed for about the last 20 years and have been updated.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
All right. So if there are no other questions from the council or comments, let's go ahead and take the vote on this. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopic, aye.
And Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. All right, we're going to jump over to the public hearing that we have scheduled for 8 o'clock. So this is a motion to reschedule a public hearing on a petition from St. Thomas More Church and St. Veronica Chapel for, my agenda is a little bit cut off, for the partial road abandonment of a portion of Joy Lane. Is there a motion?
I'll move that motion.
I'll second.
Second from Susan. So what we have is basically a issue that went to the planning department for recommendation. They ended up continuing this and not sending a recommendation because there is some information that is not clear yet on potential ownership of that right of way, whether it's owned by the town or it's owned by the fire district. So we are going to reschedule this as opposed to opening the public hearing, and we're going to reschedule it to February 1st, 2021. So that's basically the story on that. Does anyone have any questions or comments at this point? No, okay. And there's nobody with their hand up from the public. So let's go ahead and take the vote to continue to reschedule this public hearing. Start with you, Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopeck, aye.
and Patrick.
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Next, we have a motion to schedule a public hearing to amend Narragansett's Code of Ordinances to address the issue of bulk zoning regulation. Oh, sorry about that. Let me just reread that. A motion to schedule a public hearing to consider a variety of text amendments to the zoning ordinance of the town of Narragansett addressing bulk zoning regulations. Is there a motion?
Make a
I'll move
motion.
it.
All right. Motion made by Eva. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Susan. So this is an item that I put on. So this goes back to the bulk zoning amendments that the previous council had worked with staff, town staff, on implementing. The purpose of the amendments is to really put a stop to the large, oversized building of residential homes on small lots. Something that's been happening in Narragansett for a long time, and we're trying to get to the core of the problem with these changes. This was held up by a court case, so the last council was not able to go ahead and schedule this public hearing. We are able to move forward with it now, and we're looking to schedule this on February 16th, 2021. So we'll start with any thoughts and comments. Does anyone have any thoughts or comments on this item? Nope. All right. And Dan, is there anyone from the public?
Yes, there is. Steve.
All right. Steve, please state your full name and address.
Thank you, council members. Steve Ferrandi, 44 Sylvan Road, Narragansett. I hope you all can hear me. I appreciate you, the council, taking this up. Hope we should have probably had this done last session, but due to lawsuits and everything else that's going on. But this is sorely needed for the last 20 years in this town. And I hope you really dig into it and really get something done. This is a neighborhood-friendly, resident-friendly ordinance, so we're combating against rooming houses, boarding houses, mini dormitories in our neighborhood. And unfortunately, it looks like on my particular road, anyone wants to come down can look at it. I'm gonna have to put an 8-bedroom and a 7-bedroom on the end of a dead-end road due to the fact that we don't have the zoning in place to prevent it. So really appreciate the council taking this up. And I think it's long overdue for the town. And I'd like to see a positive response, 5-0, hopefully, of all these council members that give us a little peace in our neighborhoods. And not just for Eastwood Look or anywhere else, but a lot of neighborhoods in town are worried. We shouldn't have to live in a town where we're worried about who's going to buy the property next to us and what they're going to do with it and what they're allowed to do with it. More important. Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Steve.
Next, we have Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, Boston Neck Road, Narragansett. Again, property rights is an issue. Property rights. I have a home. Next to me is a 3-decker home. Unbelievably, across the street is another one. So we already have 2 very, very large homes, and they can see the water. And it's so, and I don't argue with that issue. But I think that there is a plan possibly that I would like to take my 3-bedroom small little ranch, and I'd like to build that up to the 3rd floor so I could see the water. Maybe this is where I need to retire and be able to build this large home just like my neighbors did, so I can be able to see that water. It's not a matter of rentals. It's not a matter of money. It's a matter of property rights. Why don't I have the right to do what my neighbors have done? And if there is a student issue, a noise issue, or any other issues, that can be dealt with police. But if we don't try to enforce noise issues with zoning and property rights infringements. Let's fund the police. Let's double the doggone fines on the noise and let's deal with the noise as a noise problem and not take away property rights. They already have the large homes. I think I want to build one. I'm not sure yet. And you're going to take away that right from me. I must sit here and fight that idea, the taking away of my property rights as an American in this town. I don't, just for noise issues or coalition issues, whatever. There is no need to do that when all you need to do is double or triple the fines on the people who are loud and noisy and beat people. They're talking beach rentals. You just need enforcement. And this is one time I will allow increase in fines so we can give the police more money and more officers to stop the noise rather than take away my rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, just a reminder for anyone else speaking, this is just a motion to schedule the public hearing. So it's not a motion to approve the bulk zoning, just to schedule. So Dan, who's next?
Next is Paul Zonfrillo.
Paul, please state your full name and address.
Paul Zonfrillo, 7 Windward Circle. Thank you, council, for scheduling this. You know, it's not taking away anybody's property rights. I'm sure Stanley can build his, it's not about height, it's about proportion to the lots. Zoning's a boring but really critical topic. You know, Mr. Ferrandi is facing 16 cars on a small dead-end street, an absolute horror show. Our zoning is really weak and it's been exploited. And I applaud you all for taking it up. It's really critical. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. How's it look, Dan?
That's it.
All right. Any other thoughts from the council? All right, so we'll go to the vote. We'll start with you, Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
And Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
CQ, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Next, we have a motion to, sorry, my internet. There we go. Motion to schedule a public workshop to discuss and review the proposed revisions to Narragansett's Code of Ordinances and to address the issue of bulk zoning regulations. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Made by
Second.
Eva. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
All right, second by Deb. So this is another one I put on. So this is clearly related to the public hearing. What it is a workshop so that the new council members who may not have been able to watch all those meetings back in the spring, and the public who maybe will have missed some of this, will get a refresher and really a good review of everything that we're discussing, because it is a little bit complicated with the way that this is done with cubic footage as opposed to footprint square footage. And it's something that I think should be discussed before we just go ahead and vote in a meeting. I think it makes sense to prepare and get a better background on the whole thing, and then give us some time to kind of sink in so we all fully understand. The date that I would recommend, we could discuss this, would be January 25th. I know that that works for Community Development Department to hold this. And that would give us about 3 weeks between the workshop and the public hearing in the meeting to let it all sink in. So that's the motion. Any thoughts or comments from the council?
I think it'll be really helpful.
Okay, great. All right. And Dan, who do we have from the public?
We have Stanley Wojciechowski from the public.
All right, Stan, please state your full name and address.
Stan Wojciechowski, Boston Neck Road. Thank you for engaging with public input. I'm a little concerned though. Is this going to be a Zoom meeting? Because I worry that a Zoom meeting is going to have a very minimum amount of input. People are shy, people have the computer. Is it possible for you to get the TV engaged so we can hear the meeting on TV, so we can have more people watching and paying attention to the details? I just feel I would wish that this thing would be postponed until after the virus, until we have an open building out there that we can get the people to show up. I just don't, I can just visualize us 4 or 5 yelling at each other versus the 30 or 40 people that I would like to have out there to discuss this in detail before we rush it through. Do we have to rush it through now? Let's rush it through. Let's go after the COVID where we can get adequate public input, adequate input, and get it out there. Because right now, I don't think we are. What is wrong with postponing this at least until we can open up the town hall? Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just to answer your question real quickly, so this would be Zoom and available live through YouTube as well. We don't have any broadcast option for our meetings at this point, but that would be the plan. So thanks. Dan, who else do we have?
Next, we have Wynn Haynes.
Wynn, please state your full name and address.
Wynn Haynes, 30 Wood Avenue, Narragansett. I'm looking at this ordinance. I'm getting a little bit confused because you're defining bedroom. Now, some of you have been to my house. I have 4 bedrooms in my house. With this proposed would change this house into a 10-bedroom house. If you take the rooms, we're a habitable space in a dwelling unit, not including a kitchen. I'm confused about this. I look at the houses that Mr. Sweeney has just built down on Ocean Road. Those are 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom houses, but this ordinance would turn them into 11 and 12-bedroom houses. I don't know what the intention of this is. Well, I know what the intention is, but I think it's going a little bit over the edge here. I'm cutting in and out, so I hope you heard me.
Yeah, we did get most of it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Is that it, Dan?
That's it.
All right. Any last thoughts or questions from the council? All right, we'll take the vote. We'll start with Susan. Oh,
Jesse.
sorry.
Jesse, what time would you like that set?
Right. All right. So first of all, does the 25th work for everyone on the council?
It's
No
fine with
conflict?
me.
All right. That is a off Monday, I'm guessing. So that's an off Monday. Would you guys want to do like 7 earlier, later? Is there any
About
preference?
6:30.
Yeah.
Do 6:30?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so we will do 6:30 on the 25th of January. Thanks, Terry. All right, so we'll take the vote. We'll start with Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
And Eva.
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb.
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. All right, so on to new business.
On 13.
Number 13, we have a motion to award the contract for water system hydraulic model to PAR Corporation in the amount of $89,400. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
All right. Do we have any initial thoughts? Does anyone want to hear from the town engineer on this? Does everyone feel all right?
I was just curious about the incredible disparity between the 2 bids that we got. They're really so far apart. I was just wondering why, or if you may not know the answer to that, but
I do not know, but John, would you mind, you're popular tonight, would you mind jumping in?
Yep, no problem. Yeah, there was a disparity there, and it was Some of the scope items that were required in the request for proposals were omitted from the lower bid.
Okay.
And then on two particular items which were of concern, one was the water quality modeling aspect, and the other was a unidirectional flushing program to improve our maintenance. And both those items were more descriptive and better scope in the successful proposal. We're going to review both those items with PAR as well, and we may modify the scope to the flushing program in particular. But there was a under scoping in the lower proposal.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Any other questions? All right. Dan, is there anyone from the public?
Nobody from the public.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and take the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray,
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 14 is a motion to approve, ratify, and confirm the emergency repairs to the sewer force main at the Stanton Avenue pump station. The total amount of $58,516.69. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Eva. Comments or questions from the council?
So I just said, John, I just wanted to ask you, Stanton Ave, over many years we've had issue after issue. We did a repair in 2018 for $170,000. It lasted for a year, and then we had to, then that expired. This leak, this problem that we're going to fix for $58,000, is it going to, be impactful? Because we've just had so many problems down there. The street floods. It's right near Sano Cove. All those residents are there, and it's just been a problem. I just want to see what you think as far as the repair. And it obviously is an emergency because it's, a sewerage issue, but I just, is it a long-term solution to a problem?
Well, yes, it is. It's a problem. It's a problem we have to fix. Like we said, it is a leak and a failure. Like you mentioned, in 2018, there was a major failure of the force main. That was a ductile iron pipe that essentially rotted away in the high salt environment in the high groundwater down there. And those issues are what make that a challenging pump station as well, and a challenging site. So we think what happened is that the coupling that connected the new high density polyethylene plastic pipeline to the pump station discharge, has shifted. There was an earthquake a little while back. We think that might be the cause of it, but because of the conditions down there, it's just a difficult pump station. But we think that once they get down there and find it, we'll see if there was a translation between the two pipes, or whether we can see that happened or not. But we think that may have been the cause of it. But I agree that it's a difficult site, and the intent was that those repairs 3 years ago were to fix the problem. The majority of the pipeline, we believe, is intact, and it's just this one coupling at the station. But unfortunately, you have to join the pipes together, and if the ground shifts or there's a problem in it, then it can leak, and it has to be repaired again. But once the contractor gets down there, we've got engineering staff on site with them as they're doing the excavation work to monitor it, and we'll make sure that the repair is done properly. As it was monitored in 2018 too, but we think that it may just be a result of the earthquake that we had recently.
And just to follow up, it's an emergency repair. So when do you anticipate the work beginning down there? Because when is it?
This morning.
Oh, that sounds good to me. Okay. Thank you.
And we're hoping it'll be done before the end of the week. We think, I think they budgeted 4 days of work in there. So we're hoping they can get down and dig, since we have the same contractor doing the work. Part of the expense the last time around was unknown in the digging, but they knew exactly what they were getting into this time. So they should be able to get in and execute the work quickly. And hopefully we'll just find that coupling shifted a little, and they can either repair or replace it, and we'll be back in business.
All right. Sounds great.
Right. Dan, did we already checked with the public on this? I don't think there's anyone waiting, right?
No, there isn't.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts? Looks like the work's already been approved anyway. So, started this morning. All right, so let's go ahead and take the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
And
Patrick Murray, aye.
do I. Motion approved 5-0. Next, we have a motion to approve, a motion to repass and adopt as a second reading an ordinance and amendment of chapter 1075 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett, Rhode Island, being the fiscal year 2021 budget appropriation ordinance to reflect the revised payment schedule for the fiscal year 21 motor vehicle tax billing. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
And a second?
Second.
Second by Eva. Any thoughts on this? This is the second reading.
No, good.
Nope. Good. All right.
Set.
All right. There's no one from the public. So we'll go to the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
And Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 16 is a motion to read, pass, and adopt as a second reading an ordinance and amendment of chapter 1075 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Narragansett, Rhode Island, being the fiscal year 2021 budget appropriation ordinance to transfer $441,103 from the town's unassigned fund balance to the Maury Lugens Library budget. Is there a motion?
Could we have Terry speak to this?
Well, we have to open it. or
Okay,
we have
so I'll
to-
move the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, so we did receive a petition today around 2:00 to hold a public hearing on this ordinance change, which is something that residents can do if they receive 20 signatures. This has happened in the past and it's not totally uncommon. So we will not be voting to approve this tonight, but we will vote to continue this, and then we'll need to advertise and schedule the public hearing before we can go ahead. Terry, is there anything to add to that?
No, so that petition will go on the council's January 4th agenda to receive and take action upon. So that would be the time when the council would set the date for the public hearing.
Right.
Oh, good. So, because Terry, I was wondering because we did receive it so late and I did want it to be a public document. So it will be forthcoming. So we can see who the petitioners are, correct?
That is correct. It's a public document now. So it is available, but it will go on as an official agenda item on the council's January 4th agenda.
And we don't have to schedule that public hearing. That'll just be on the agenda,
Okay.
right?
All right,
We don't need
sounds
to make a
good.
motion to schedule it. It'll just be on for the 4th.
Correct.
Right.
The receipt of the petition will be on the January 4th agenda. And at
Right.
that time, the council will determine a date for the public hearing so that it can be advertised accordingly.
Okay, so the motion to schedule will be on the 4th.
Correct.
And for this, we don't know exactly when this second reading will be approved. So for now, we'll just make a motion to continue it.
Okay. Yep.
That,
Sounds
yeah,
good.
that sounds right. So is there a motion to continue this?
I'll make a motion to continue.
I have a question. Is this gonna muck things up, dragging this out for another, possibly what, a month?
I don't think, well, whose item, was this
It
yours?
was
Susan?
mine and Patrick's. And no, I don't think that.
I see Laura Kelly just piped in. She's got her hand up. Let's ask her.
Yeah, before we vote, actually, let's go to the public. So Dan, I think Karen was up first.
She was. Yep. Karen Shabshalowitz.
Karen, please state your full name and address.
Karen Shabshalowitz, 63 Wanda Street, Narragansett. I perceive that we've covered this issue many, many times, and the voters have voted and made their opinions well known. There's been a lot of discussion, and it's been known to be said that idiocy is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different answer. This appears to me to be a political tool that they are using to try to dismantle the plan to go ahead with the library. We've already had the first reading. There's been plenty of discussion publicly, plenty, years and years of it. And have we gotten a legal opinion whether this is redundant of things that have been done in the past? Or has the town solicitor weighed in on this? Is he even at this meeting?
He is on, yeah. We can go to Mark before we vote and get his opinion as well on this, but Town Clerk Terry is pretty well versed in this process.
I'd be interested in hearing what Lori had to say too.
All right, thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Next is Laurie Kelly.
All right, Lori, please state your full name and address.
Lori Kelly, 444 Ocean Road. To answer Patrick's question, I don't think there's any ill effect of delaying this. You know, it's clearly, if it's deemed by Terry and the solicitor as a valid petition, then we go forward with the process. You know, the way the budget was cut by the previous council 2 years in a row, we will not get the state money next year, and the year after we will only get half of the money, and it's too late for us to reinstate it for that. But as I've spoken before, it's important to say to the townspeople and the state that, you know, the people of Narragansett embrace the library and wish to fully fund the library and go forward with it as a valid educational institution of the town. So it's more that than the timing. The timing should not make any difference from what I have gathered. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, please state your full name and address.
Stanley Wojciechowski, Boston Neck Road. You know, things happen as time goes on, and I think I recently read in the paper that the library got a $500,000 donation, and I thought it was spearheaded towards the operation, not the building, but the operation of the library. Being that they have got this large input, I don't know what is the reason. You know, it just seems like all they have to do is write a letter to Otis or whatever and tell them, hey, listen, we've got the $500,000. We didn't get it from the town, but we've got it there. And if we got it there, why are we asking the town? So now we're going to have $1 million input. You know, get that 500 plus another 441. Yeah, you know, it's, as times change, so do this issue of they've got the money. You know, and the second issue is I would like to see some details on the staffing levels or the costs involved that would require this input of monies. We just don't give somebody money without some kind of justification. Could they not just write down the hours, the people, all the issues that would require this much money being transferred, not just to satisfy Otis. We have never had a like this. Otis should be able to bend with this virus and say, okay, you have paid your people adequately, therefore we will follow through on our commitments in the future. Not demand all this money when probably we're only at 50% staffing and we don't need this money at this particular time this year. It's a matter of virus and needs. And I think in being responsible, you council people should have some detail on what this money is for before you make a decision. Like I say, I think so many issues with government is spending. You spend without adequately looking at the details because it's not coming out of your pocket. That's a feeling I'm getting as we take 441,000 and put it into someone that already has a $500,000 promised. I hope that attitude will change in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stanley.
Next is Paul Zonfrillo.
Paul, please state your full name and address.
Paul Zonfrillo, 7 Windward Circle. I signed that petition today because this is fiscally irresponsible. You know, the library, if they wanted to show a commitment, Miss Kelly scuttled the deal that would have funded the library for another $181,000 2 years ago. And I'd just like to remind you to do your own research because it's not accurate that the town needs to transfer this money for the oldest. And I'll give some more details at the public hearing. But I just like to respectfully remind you, you guys are not the library council, you're the Narragansett Town Council. And dipping into our emergency reserves has serious implications for the town. Our ability to bond. And, you know, it's interesting that you kind of checked with Ms. Kelly first before you went forward because I would really appeal to you guys to do your own research and come to your own conclusions. You know, it's a big turn for some people on the council who used to be fiscally responsible to now say, you know, let's just open up the coffers. Let's just open up the emergency fund. And I think it's very irresponsible to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. I do want to go quickly, we'll just get a second opinion on this. Mark, Mr. Davis, this has happened multiple times before, right? This is a completely valid petition, correct?
Hi, Jesse. Yes, this is absolutely valid. It's a new issue. Obviously, funding an additional 441 for this budget has not been discussed at a public hearing. The signatures were tendered in a timely fashion as verified by Terry, and it's valid.
Great, thank you. Okay. Any other thoughts from the council before we vote to continue?
Yeah, I just want to say something. If everybody's so concerned about a bond rating, we wouldn't have left 2.4 million. Something that should have gone to bond for the library, continue with the project that people already voted for back in 16. So, you know, it's just going to go on, the nonsense. Thank you.
Okay. Any other thoughts? All right, so I can't remember if we did this or not, but does someone want to make a motion to amend this motion?
We have I think we have a motion. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll make that motion.
To continue, right? Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All right. And all right, so let's go ahead and take the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Motion number 17 is a motion to schedule a town council boards and commissions workshop with the town clerk to review member vacancies and members who have expired terms, recommending a Zoom meeting for Monday, January 11th at between 5:30 and 7 p.m. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
A second.
All right, this is from Susan and Deb.
So just happy that we're going to get together. Hopefully that we'll pass this motion tonight. I attached the boards and commissions so the public and the council could see the vacancies all through the boards and commissions. There's about 25 of them. I know we had we're in the COVID, so a lot of members didn't get reappointed or they expired. So I look forward to working with the clerk's office so we can get some clarity on what's open, what's filled, what's expired, and really move forward, because these boards and commissions are so important to the work that we do in the town of Narragansett. So I like to see them fully staffed and running and working together to, make the community a better place. So I look forward to that. And one of the outstanding issues we were looking at is, the 2 consecutive terms, and then if they're on or they're off. And so I think we have to just kind of work with the clerk's office to get some clarity on where we stand with these boards and commissions. So I'm excited to sit and do that work.
All right. Deb, do you have anything to add?
Just that I think during this meeting, we're going to help folks who aren't sure exactly how to apply for one of these positions. We're going to show them how to do that.
All right. Yeah, I think it's a great idea too. There's so many vacancies still on these boards. Some boards that have gone a little bit dormant. There are members that are serving that are technically expired. So I think it's just going to give us just kind of a understanding of where we're even at and what's available. And then after this, we could start to actually put motions on in the next few months to fill these. So it'll just give us a real plan of action going forward.
Cool.
Great. All right. Nobody from the public. So if there's no other comments from the council, we'll go ahead and take the vote. And the time of 5:30 to 7 on the 11th of January. That's good for everyone?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and call the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Patrick Murray.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 18 is a motion to approve a request for statements of qualifications and proposals to provide professional architectural engineering services related to the conversion of the former Belmont Market building into a public library. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second by Deb. This comes from Susan and Patrick.
So Patrick, I'll start and you finish, or you want to go
Go
first?
ahead.
You want to go
No,
first?
you
Go
go right
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm good. I got nothing to say.
Oh,
Go
so
ahead.
I just want to say that this RFP that's on the agenda has been a collaborative effort between the town and the library. There were a couple of meetings. We had the bond counsel, the solicitor. We really spent some time. I want to thank John and the engineering department and Chris for all being a part of trying to bring the document that really reflects of the town together, the library and the town. And so we had some meetings. I think we ended up with a really comprehensive document that's going to work well, and it shows a partnership. And so I urge all of my colleagues tonight to vote for this, because I think this partnership is a step in the right direction to working together and collaboratively moving forward. So I want to thank all the people that worked on it. I know it was fast and furious, but it was important work, and we've been waiting for several years. So I look forward to seeing what kind of bids would come in for this. So I hope everybody will support it. Patrick?
Ditto.
All right, before we go to the public, Eva or Deb, do you have any questions or comments on this?
No.
Okay, great.
No.
All right, Dan, who do we have from the public?
First, we have Catherine Seliberta.
All right, Ms. Seliberta, please state your full name and address.
Catherine Seliberta, 48 Earls Court. I'm a little ahead of this, but I would like to see when construction starts that the bids go out for an amount certain. There's just at the last session, you approved a 20% upcharge from a bid for work on the Veterans Memorial down in the town square there. And every single bid, we take a bid, we award to someone, and then they come back to us for, it used to be 10 to 15%, and now it seems to be 20% upcharges. Now, I don't know if it's possible legally, but I would really like to see when construction starts for this on the library, that the bids go out amount certain. In other words, a company puts in a bid and they have to stick to the price and not keep coming back to the council for more and more money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, full name and address?
Stan Wojciechowski, Boston Neck Road. The only question I have is, are these specifications in line with COVID issues at this time? I don't know how, have we updated all the specifications out there to include all issues related to COVID and how we're gonna have to redesign or change or whatever? Should we be waiting till the COVID is done, or should we start getting bids on a COVID responsible library? Or can we have a post-COVID library which will allow more people there? Are we going to have all kinds of small areas people have to hang in there? They can't be within 6 feet, and are we going to have all kinds of plastic things going on? I just didn't take any time to look at any detail on what are the contractors bidding on, and is it appropriate at this time, or should we wait till COVID is gone? Thank you.
Jesse.
Yeah.
I'm confused. Is Stanley asking for a bigger library? A larger,
Maybe it's possible.
more expansive building?
Have to get some follow-up from Stanley on the next item. Dan, who do we have?
Next is Lori Kelly.
Lori Kelly, 444 Ocean Road. I just want to reiterate what Susan said, that we're very happy from the library side to be working, with the town on this, and that we finally got the RFP out after, and I don't mean finally since you guys have been elected, but finally because of the history of the project from when it was originally, the bond was out in 2016. We have an RFP. We're going out and get some good responses. As far as the issues with Stanley, that's why we're hiring an architect, and that's why we're going to have some creative designs to use this space and its flexibility for the next 20 to 30 years. So that's all part of being a library architect. All things will be considered in that, but we just got to get it out to the people and select a builder and an architect and move forward. So again, thank you very much to the council for being so quick at getting this out and supporting the library. And we look forward to the work to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, anyone else?
That's it.
All right, sounds good. All right, any last thoughts from the council?
Yes, build it. Stanley will come. COVID or no COVID, he'll be there. Stealing the free newspaper, I guarantee it. He'll steal that paper there.
Too much.
All right, great. Let's go ahead and take the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb, you're on mute.
Deb Kopek, aye.
Patrick?
For you, Stanley and Mary. Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Next is number 19 for Parks and Rec. A motion to approve the request from AMP Surf to conduct a one-day free surfing event for disabled veterans at the town beach on Saturday, June 5th, 2021, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., subject to state and local regulations. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second from Eva. Let's go right to Steve Wright for for a quick summary on this.
Good evening, all. This is the 6th annual Vet Serve Day. It's a great event. It kind of starts off the beginning of our summer. Hopefully, without COVID, we can hold this event, and we typically host somewhere around 15 to 30 disabled participants with 40 to 60 volunteers. These folks come in. They do a fabulous job. It's a morning activity, and they're in and out of there at South Lot at the beach on June 5th, 2021 this year. So just like Surface for Healing that we host in the fall, which is another free day that we offer and we've been doing every year. These are two bookend events that we are just so proud to offer here in the town of Narragansett. So I can't be more happy and proud to offer this to the veterans every single year. So again, this is the 6th year we've been doing this, and hopefully you'll approve this event.
Thanks, Steve. All right, any questions? Nope, and nobody has their hand up from the public, so let's go right to the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Shoulder season events for the businesses. Patrick Murray, aye.
Well, it is in June, but
There's which one? Oh, that one. All right. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the next one.
the new shoulder season.
New shoulder season.
Yeah. Jesse, you said you voted yes. Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. And we have item number 20, which is a motion to approve the request for road races and events incorporated to conduct the annual Ocean State Road Races Half Marathon and 5K road race to be held on Sunday, October 24th, 2021 from 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., subject to state and local regulations. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second for Patrick Murray. So this is a event which would be held by the business that we discussed last meeting, who had their race in October this year. But Steve, is there any other information that would be useful to the council on this?
No, just that, as you can tell, it was a quick turnaround. So we were able to get the preliminary approvals right away from Police, Fire, Public Works, and also the Bonnet Shores Beach Club. So Lisa DeBella was also able, the district manager of the beach club, was able to turn around with approval so we could get this scheduled for tonight's approval. And so they're ready to go. And I have no other comment other than it's scheduled again, COVID, for hopefully we're out of COVID and we can schedule this for Sunday, October 24th, 2021. And again, that will be all the parking lots at the beach, South Lot, North Lot, and the West Lot. Saturday just for the North Lot, and then all 3 lots for the Sunday event.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. If anyone from the council has any questions, I do see both of the organizers in the list here. They don't have their hands up, but if you had any questions for them about this year's event, we could try to get them on.
We're not gonna shake them down for a kidney or not. Huh? Do we need a kidney? Unbelievable.
All right. Any questions, comments from the council?
I think that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
Let's go to the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Another shoulder season event. Patrick Murray, aye.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
With no kidney. No kidney required.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Motion 21 is a motion to approve a victulating license renewal application for Thai Best LLC, doing business as Thai Best at 21 Pier Marketplace for a term to expire April 30th, 2021. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion. Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
And is there a second?
Second.
Second from Eva. So this will be a renewal for an existing business. Any questions, comments? All right. No
Congrats.
public. All right. What's that?
Congrats.
Congrats. All right. There's no hands up from the public, so let's go to the vote. Susan,
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva,
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb,
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick.
Patrick Murray, aye.
SCQ, motion approved 5-0. A motion, number 22 is a motion to consider the expansion of the liquor licensed premises service areas for WT Galilee Corp. doing business as Captain Foggy's Fish House, 294 Great Island Road, subject to state and local regulations. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Second for Patrick. So this one we spoke about, or we discussed last meeting. This is kind of a continuation of that one. And we do have some additional information. So actually, Terry, do you mind speaking on this?
We got the, President, we got this information late today at 4:30, right? About
Well,
the-
there's multiple. Yeah, why don't we go to, actually, Terry, why don't we go to-
Maybe Jim sent an email on that, right?
Right, yeah. So we could go to
Oh.
Wayne or Jim. Jim, do you want to give us the quick roundup and then we can get some more info?
Wayne's staff was the one that looked into it. I'm gonna let Wayne go forward. He's the one that drafted the follow-up report for you guys.
All right.
Good evening, council members. After looking at this property, the property is on state-owned land. The business itself, the structure is leased from the state. So the state building commissioner's office and the state fire marshal's office have jurisdiction over any code review due to any expansion that Captain Foggy's wants to do. And that really needs to be looked at before any permanent expansion of the liquor license is granted. We also need to look at this for zoning purposes with Mike DeLuca because of the Galilee zoning district, that this may require a review by the either the planning department or planning board due to the proposed expansion of his liquor service area. So I would say any vote taken tonight should be contingent upon state building, fire code reviews, planning department, and zoning review before the liquor expansion service area is granted.
All right. Thank you, Wayne.
Can I ask Wayne a question about that? So anything that's permanent, they have to get a special use permit, right? They can't, if it's just temporary due to COVID, license expansion, but anything that they're gonna, change permanently, they have to go through the board, correct?
That's correct. They would need to get their special use permit amended for the expanded service area.
Yeah, okay.
All right. We also, I know there's prior discussion to be had here. Before we get into that, I know that there was an interest in having the owner speak on his plans and kind of what he had in mind. If he is on, Mr. Tetlow, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll call on you if you're around. But we can continue the discussion. We could go to him if he's available. But what other thoughts do we have?
I mean, you always want to support the expansion for the establishment due to COVID outside, but I'm concerned about the permanent changes in the building. It's state, as well. So, I mean, we have to make sure we get the right guidance on that.
Well, if we make it contingent upon state and local building approval, there's no reason why we can't move forward with the liquor license based on, approval by other authorities. So we've done that before.
Doesn't he have the liquor license already?
He has a liquor license. Dan, can we go to Mr. Tetlow? It looks like he has
It's right there. Yep.
Absolutely. Okay.
Mr. Tetlow, are you on?
He's on mute, Jesse.
Oh, yeah, it looks like you're on mute. You are, if you're able to unmute, yeah, if you'd like to just kind of go through a little bit of an explanation on what you're looking to do with the structure, timelines, that sort of thing. All right. Why don't we continue the discussion? If he's able to get that technical difficulty fixed, then we'll hear from him. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yeah, please state your full name and address, please.
Yes, Bill Tetlow, William Tetlow, 294 Grand Island Road in Narragansett. Just holiday cheers to everyone. The intent I have there is I have all the available space. Every place that I'm looking to utilize downstairs for the temporary use during the coronavirus has been at one time a restaurant, or is presently a restaurant used for those purposes. It's just been taken out of service. I'm not putting any expansion on the building or doing anything to that effect. Wayne was nice enough to come over there last Friday, and we walked the property, and I think I got a nod from him. He said he felt it was okay what I was looking to do. I understand that I have to go through the process with the state. I understand that I have to, go through the planning board and to the zoning commission. If I were to get that permanently changed so that I'd have the privilege of serving alcohol on the first floor permanently. I have a difficult time now because I have a 170-seat restaurant upstairs, and I have just limited clientele, limited population that's there during the time of the coronavirus, particularly during the winter months. And I could very easily operate out of the downstairs delicatessen on a small scale, servicing probably about 32 additional seats. I know somewhere I saw 84 seats, but it's more a couple of tables that would be out in the front of the building on the sidewalk. The sidewalk's plenty wide enough. And I now have a main corridor that runs down to the middle of the building with an open air door on both ends. And it has two tables there. The hallway is 70 feet long and 10 feet wide. So I'd like to put 3 more tables in there. I've done the math and I've done the sketches on it. I don't know if you have the sketches that I provided with Terry with, but I do have some tentative plans drawn up. They're pretty simple. There's a back porch on it that's right on the dock, which was originally a service area for a D'Angelo's sandwich shop. And I'd like to put a few tables out there in the back as well. So it's on an existing porch. It's in the hallway that exists, and there's a few tables on the sidewalk in front of the buildings. So that's basically what I'm looking for, is just a coherent transition between, hopefully I can get an okay to open up the outside downstairs to accommodate the time now that we have the coronavirus going into the summer probably, with a coherent transition into perhaps in the future being able to use that full time. I need it to survive. I mean, I have that beautiful building. It's right next to the ferry. Essentially, it serves as a watering hole for people that are waiting for the ferry, for luncheons and for snacks when they're waiting for the boat, that type of thing, and for the local fishermen and the local businesses that are there, the machine shops and the different fishing industries that are there. And I can man that downstairs, and it has good exposure to the street, as opposed to this large monstrosity of a restaurant I have upstairs, which functions, about 6 weeks out of the year. That works fine, but I'm stuck with another 10 months that I have to worry about paying all the bills in the place. And I think by ultimately getting a permanent license in the downstairs area where the delicatessen is, I could have a small pub-like place there, or a sandwich shop with alcohol. People get a drink while they're waiting for the ferries, and it would serve a purpose. That whole area demographically has changed when the hotel left. There's not a lot of people around there now. And more or less, you're just serving as a service to the ferry customers on and off season. So that's pretty much what I had in mind. You know, it's not a grand scheme of things. It's just something to help me pay the bills so I can stay in business. That's all. I think.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what? Any questions for Mr. Tetlow?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. Yeah, Bill, do you own the building? He's going.
Oh, he's there. He's just on mute.
Yeah.
Dan, is he still selected to speak if he unmutes?
Yes, he is.
I have to get my technical operator here to get me unmuted. I'm sorry. Yes, I own the building.
Okay, so you're paying taxes to the town of Narragansett on the building. Okay,
That's
thank you.
correct.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And now the lower level area where alcohol is being served, is that more of a service area than a sit-down bar? For the service area for the tables that you want to add, correct?
Yes, what I'd like to do is I'd like to open up a service bar where the delicatessen is and add up 32 tables on the first floor in the hallway, the back porch, and in the front of the building.
And the reason, I mean, logistically, it's a lot easier to have like a staging area on the first floor than having your wait staff walk up and down that flight of stairs. Is that the reason?
Exactly.
Okay, all right, that's what I got out of it. So yeah, I'm good with that.
So I actually went down there last week, but I couldn't find anybody. I don't know enough about it. I mean, from the memo today, you wanted 84 additional seats, and I couldn't figure out where the expansion was going to be. So, I mean, I don't feel like at this moment I can make a decision on it because I just don't have enough information. I'm wondering why it's coming to the council before it's going to the right board. Like, why isn't it going to the planning board first and then comes back with the recommendations, since there are some permanent changes? I don't know.
Well, yeah. Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I think it's not 84 seats. What I'm looking for is more like 32. I think it's 32 seats. And essentially,
All right, well, we received a memo that did say 84. See, so that's kind of.
well, what I also had a note on there that said I'm willing to compromise. I asked for everything, you know, I didn't know where it was going to go, but common sense dictates what will, you know, what makes sense there, you know. And I think it's more in the order of, you know, between 30 and 40 seats, somewhere around there. Where they can fit in the hallway, on the back porch, and the front sidewalk. I also included the area along the side of my building, which had several seats, several tables in it. But that faces the bait shop next door. And Andrea runs a good business there. We're good neighbors. And she has all of her bait out in that area, you know, and I just put it in there for future, you know, sometime in the future, something happened there. She's no longer there. And that could be a nice little alleyway, like a French cafe outside. We have some tables outside. I put it in there, food for thought, but it's not something that I'm looking at right now, and I don't see it in the near future.
I love it, Bill. Bait and beer. What can be better than that? Skate and beer. Love
Jesse,
it.
could we have some guidance from the town staff or the solicitor? I mean, this is, I mean, again, I haven't been down to the establishment. We want to support local businesses. We want to do it the right way. I just don't want to throw it up in the air and hope it sticks. I want it to be a good opportunity for Bill, but we've got to make sure that we're doing it in a way that we understand, you know, the changes, and that we can clearly agree with them. So I want to support Bill, and I just want to know from the town staff or the solicitor, like, I mean, should we be going through that board, referring it to the planning board, or what?
So I thought, I'm sorry to interrupt. So I thought that we were just, it's temporary for now, and then anything permanent is going to go through all the correct, you know, procedures. But I think right now, especially with the way that our small business community has been impacted by COVID, any like even a week or 2 week delay on something that they could really benefit from, you know, we shouldn't delay. And if it's okay to do something temporarily to help the business community out, I think we should.
Well, let me speak here. I think Wayne might be able to help us with a couple of questions. Wayne, the tables he wants to put around the building, is that something he can do at this time?
That would probably fall under the governor's
State.
current executive order.
Right.
I do want to
Yeah.
note, and
Okay.
Bill can back this up. Right now, he is closed. He's not open.
Right.
So
We're talking the spring anyways, right?
yeah.
Right. Now I noticed on the sketches that I saw that he wants to put tables in the street with that, or did I miss that one?
I'm
Did I read
eliminating
that wrong?
that.
It's there.
I've seen that in Newport, so I added it, but that can be eliminated.
Yeah, I don't think the state's gonna let you do that, Bill.
What I'm looking for is
Not on that street.
What I'm looking for is do you have the drawings in front of you?
Yes.
If you look at just to make matters simple, if you look at the drawing, you'll see one of them says right on the bottom, the center of the bottom page, it says front of building sidewalk.
Yep.
See that?
Right.
Let's call that page 1.
Right.
Okay. And then there's another one there that it says page, well, no, it says Captain Foggy's right in the middle of the page. It's a hallway. It says hallway, first floor. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll call that page 2. All right, if you look at page 1, I've included there the tables in the front of the building. You've got, I think there's 3 tables in the front of the building. There's 12 seats out there on the sidewalk.
Right.
I think Wayne would support me when I say that we looked at the sidewalk, and the sidewalk is plenty wide to put those tables out there. It's, you look at the dimensions, the sidewalk is something like, it was 12
10
feet
feet.
wide, I think, something like that.
10, 12 feet.
And it's 11 feet wide on the sidewalk. So you get a table that takes up 4 feet, you still got 7 feet to walk by the tables and the service area, that type of thing. So there's 3 tables in the front of the building. That's shown on page 1. And if you look at their porch is also on page 1. You can see that those tables are existing on the left. You've got, 2 tables, they're all spaced. I've done the mathematics, I've done the layout. They're the right distance apart for the seating for the coronavirus. There's enough space per table. I think it was 67 inches or something, I can't remember, for the table itself. And the
72.
It was all done according to the regulations, the way it was laid out. And so you got a total of 4 tables that probably end up with on the back porch. Now, that's an existing porch. It's already, we just haven't been able to serve out there. That's all. We've been able to serve sandwiches and the like, but not a beer if somebody wanted a beer. In fact, all of this stuff. Now, in the hallway, page 2, I have 5 seats laid out there, 5 tables.
Right.
Now, I only have the first 2. You see it going from the left of the page. Table 1 and 2 have been there since I opened 2.5 years ago. The rest of the hallway hasn't been used. And I just want to I got room to put in 3 more tables there. But once again, it all fits in with the dimensions that are required by the state for space for the coronavirus. And so that's that. That's pretty much it. Those tables.
But it's just for the COVID period, and then after it will be all done? Or is this something, again, that you want these changes or these added tables permanently?
Well, I think it's been suggested that I could start off with this to get into the season and see where the coronavirus goes. And in the meantime, I'll be working on this permanency that we're talking about. I'll get my stuff submitted to the planning board, get myself stuff submitted to the, to the, who is it? Not the planning board, but what is it? Zoning commission.
Yeah, so we could
get
approve
everything
this.
working in the right direction, but at least start off with something. If I have to feeling that I'm gonna be able to go somewhere with it, then I can spend the time and the money and the effort to do it. You know?
Okay, so that makes sense to me. If this is a temporary
Okay.
plan for COVID, I can
Right.
totally agree with that. And then then you would check, with the building inspector, go through the planning to see if you wanted to make
Meantime.
this area become a permanent part of your business, right?
That's the idea. The whole idea came about when I received the letter from the town saying that I could have that outside dining and that they were looking into making it permanent in the future. That's where the whole idea came from. So I received that introduction from the town clerk's office before I got involved in this. And I looked at it and I said, well, this is, this helped me a lot.
Okay, so that makes me feel better that it's temporary, and I'd actually love to come down there and see it because I tried last week, but I couldn't get down there. I didn't realize it was closed.
Well, anytime you'd like to meet me down there, I can get down and over. We're closed. I've been closed for the, quite a while.
Winter.
And I'd like to open up in April. That's what we're looking at. So getting things prepared for April. And I don't know how long this coronavirus is going to last, but it looks like they're talking about into the early summer or whatever, So
It would be great if
I
you
predict it's gonna last right through the next time your liquor license is up for renewal, as far as I'm
Well, I
concerned.
hate to think that, but it's probably true.
Well, as far as I'm concerned.
If you could give your contact to the clerk late at some point, and then we would be able to contact you, because I'd love to see Captain Foggy's in the future.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Terry has all that information. Town clerk has that information.
Oh, yeah, on here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tetlow. All right, so what we have is a motion to consider the expansion of the liquor license. The plans submitted go beyond what we're talking about right now. So that's what we need to work through. I would not be in favor of any expanded indoor service with this approval. So the downstairs would be used as just for service, and no customers going in and ordering indoors. It's just to deliver the drinks out, correct? Is that what everyone is understanding?
No, have you been in that building?
So the downstairs, I haven't been in it, no.
Okay, if you walk in the front of the
Upstairs.
building, there's basically a hallway, a wide hallway.
Right,
Christ, it's
right.
gotta be 8 feet wide or maybe 10 feet wide.
Yep.
And it goes
10
straight back to
feet.
the back
Yeah,
of
it
the
used to be
building, if I
shops.
remember. He wants to put a couple tables out there. He wants to have the lower sandwich shop as a service area, serving sandwiches and delivering food to the people who are around the building under the governance, bring it outside. I've been to, I remember the old Mills? Well, you probably don't remember, but I've taken it outside at the old Mills once before. But so anyway, with that said, this is just a simple way to, expand this business. There's no reason why we can't approve this, because the, Wayne's department and the state are sure gonna, put some kind of restrictions on it. So I don't
So
think
that
this is
would-
a big deal at all.
That would include
Again, if we have a license renewal next year at this time, we can pull a plug if something doesn't work out. So there's no reason why we have to, restrict this guy.
So where I differ there is the spirit of these emergency expansions has always been
Outside.
mostly outside.
Yeah.
Add
All
some more
outside.
space. Yeah, all outside
All
basically.
outside, yeah.
So the idea to basically add all this interior space to his business does not really fit into any of that emergency order. This is just basically I can't blame him for wanting to do that. But that's not really what this emergency order was supposed to do.
Well,
All that outdoor seating is totally in line with it.
May I suggest this? I don't know if I'm still online here, but
You are, Bill.
may I suggest something?
Sure.
What you don't know, sir, Mr. Pugh,
Yep.
is both ends have full-sized entryways that empty into this corridor that runs through the middle of the building. And I'm sorry? There's storefronts on both sides. And it's like an entryway to, it's like a tunnel almost, but it's fresh air through all of it.
it's a large companionway.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's 10 feet wide, 70 feet long.
Yeah.
And there are tables out there now, and I'm sure that I'm not going to be able to do anything that the Board of Health or the state is not going to allow me to do for seating arrangements. And that should be based, I believe, on what they recommend and what they'll allow and what they won't allow, rather than shut it out of the question altogether before we start. Let me engineer it in such a way that satisfies them, because that is open air. That hallway is open air. That's the whole.
Doors will be open.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The other
So,
thing,
yeah.
Jesse, the other thing is, here we got another restaurant bar, we all know. That this guy is taking his part of his business and bringing it downstairs on the ground level to bring it outside. He needs a service area to service those downstairs clients, because he can't have staff running up and down them stairs. Have you ever seen those stairs at Foggy's? You're gonna need a drink by the time you get up to the top there, okay? And then you got another bar that's gonna put additional seating up on the roof. So it's just the opposite of what one bar is doing, but this guy's doing just the opposite and bringing it down to the first level. So I don't see a difference here. And if we don't like it a year from now, when we go renew the license, we can pull a plug on the guy. And then he can go out of business.
So if this isn't going to happen until April, but if this isn't happening until April and we're still in December, why don't we send it to planning as a priority?
Well, again, all we're doing is giving this guy the green light to go and expand his license, and he's going to go through the process.
So
if the planning comes back, or zoning comes back, or the state comes back, and they say, oh, well, we can't do this, this is out of the question, then we'll take a look at it.
we can temporarily approve it, send it to the planning board. It means they have the green light, but the planning board can look at it. So we're
Correct.
covered.
Contingent upon
So he's
planning,
not open
zoning,
now.
state regulations.
Well,
Beautiful. I
remember,
love
the
it.
planning board sent the recommendation, so it's not binding. So we're approving it. What's the point of even sending it there? Are we going to say
We're
it's
just
fine?
doing it temporarily.
On their recommendation being
Yeah, but the
positive?
planning board's not going to look at this as a temporary thing. Seems to me we're talking about two issues. The first issue is, allowing Mr. Tetlow to have the opportunity to serve outside customers outside, I should say, while COVID is going on. We don't know when the governor's requirements are going to be lifted. You could be right, Patrick. It could be, by the time the next liquor license renewal comes along, it could be before then. So we don't know. So I think what we have to do, and I think this is what Susan was saying, is, fine for whatever the outside, with the exception of the stuff in the street, because I'm pretty sure Patrick's right about that. We could say yes, until the restrictions are lifted. In the meantime, since the restaurant is closed at the moment, Mr. Tetlow can pursue all the other parts that he needs to pursue, which sounds like it starts with the state and doesn't come to the town until after the state has made their determinations about various and sundry things. And there's a few months before we need to have, there's quite a few months before we need to have any of that done. So I don't think the inside is really, I get what Patrick is saying about having a service area down there, but I don't think we should have serving down there except outside until such time as we have more information about the end of COVID, and until such time as Mr. Tetlow has been able to get through some of the stuff that he has to do to get where he's going. So,
well,
I don't agree with that. I think we should. Why?
Exactly.
There's no why. It's like, why not give somebody peace of mind? They have a business that's been struggling, and just because COVID's over doesn't mean that they're going to make all that money back all of a sudden when COVID's done, hopefully. And then businesses have to have become innovative, and they have to be creative. And I applaud anyone for being creative.
We have other businesses that made these expansive decks in critical areas.
But there's a likelihood that those are going to go away depending on.
All right, well then this may go away.
Yeah, but why not just move forward with it? Somebody has a plan. It's going to take a while to get in place.
Yeah. Remember, this guy probably has to make up for this year.
Yeah,
he probably didn't have a very good time this year. So I got no problem with it. Let this guy run his business. Believe me, the state and the town are probably gonna shut some of that down. So let him move forward. And again, if we don't like it, we can come back and pull a license or alter it.
Yeah, it's Christmas. Let's have this Christmas spirit.
So The only part that I disagree, I think I agree more with Deb on this, is the serving in the indoor lower space, because it's so far out of line with the process of how this is supposed to work that I don't really, we're not even, we're saying it's COVID, but it's really not. I mean, we're now offering him to double his business, his liquor license space, just kind of because, when the whole idea of this was to use more exterior space to expand your business, not to let you open a new bar. It's basically
No,
a
but
new
I
bar
thought,
that-
I was under the impression from just the discussions just now that it's pretty much the indoor, right, Patrick? Aren't you saying it's like
Yeah,
more
it's
of an
more of
open
a
air?
service area.
So it
More of a
really,
area. And that companionway has got two big doors. They open up on both ends with that southwest wind blowing through. So
But that was
I
a
mean,
deli before, so that would be now, that deli would be converted to a bar. is
more
what it would be.
more of a service area. He's gonna
Are they-
serve food and alcohol where people can go and sit down outside. That's what he said.
It's a bar.
Well,
service area.
he's in the bar business.
But that isn't a bar. That is not currently a bar. We're now making it a bar. We're skipping.
But it's more of a
all
service
planning
area.
and zoning and just
So-
saying you can have a new bar.
Well, it's
All right.
more of a service area than a bar. It's providing alcohol and food so they can take their food
Yeah.
and sit down outside, sit down in that companionway, around the building. It's no different than another bar putting chairs up on the roof.
Because it was a different business, and now it's all part of Captain Foggy's. That's the difference. It wasn't, if he didn't own the building and he was just renting upstairs, he would now be acquiring a new space downstairs to serve alcohol. It just happens that he owns that whole building. It's
But they're
just
not, I think, Bill, maybe you can help me here.
Okay, may I-
Is that bar area, that's more of a service window type situation, right? Where you order food and drink and then you hand it to them and then they go sit down.
That's outside, right? That window's outside.
if I may, can you hear me?
Yes,
we
sir.
hear-
Okay, I'm not sure, I'm not good at the technological end of this, but if I may, number one, if I go in there and I start laying out seats, the state's gonna come in there and look at what I have. And if they look at that hallway and they say, yeah, you're okay with these seats out here, which I think they will, because I've seen that in many other places. It's all open air. This hallway is all open air. It's not enclosed. If they come in and they look and say, yeah, you're okay, you can use that, then I'm fine. If they come in and say, no, you can't use that, then they can't use it. I mean, but they determine that. To predetermine it before I'm given a chance to even try it, I think that's kind of cutting things short.
So are you saying that you're going
place-
to, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, are you saying that you're going to go to the state to determine whether that corridor is acceptable under the current COVID requirements? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'll check and make sure that it's, it's something they're gonna allow me to do. Because they come around, they look at your place, they close you down, or they certainly impose their will on you if you're not complying with what they want. That's open air in there, it's been used for the last year, and the way it is. It's not that we're opening up a place that's not being used, that all is used. What I want to do is start serving alcohol on the first floor. If I open up the restaurant upstairs, I have to have 20 or 30 people work for me to operate it. It's a 170-seat restaurant with a monstrous commercial kitchen and a big bar. I'm not getting the business to do that. Downstairs, I can have a service bar where the delicatessen is now. Where the delicatessen is now, people walk in there, they get their sandwiches, and they can do that, and they have been doing that. There's also windows outside where they get that. It's approved by the state. It's okay with the coronavirus, and that's what's happening. Nothing's changing. The only thing I want to do is say, okay, now you can get a beer or a glass of wine or a margarita with your food while you're waiting for the ferry sitting at these tables that we have downstairs. I don't have 170 seats anymore. I only have 32. And here we are operating down here with 2 people instead of 20 people on the second floor. So I can afford maybe to make ends meet so that I can pay my bills and stay in existence. That's what I'm looking for.
Paying taxes.
What I'm trying to predetermine before I go in there is already determined by the state. They're going to tell me what I can do and what I can't do once I get in there. But I already am there. You understand, this is not something new. It's all existing. All I'm asking for is I have a liquor license. Usually a liquor license is granted for a property. I don't have a liquor license for my property. I have a liquor license for the top floor. And it's, you know, I'm asking to just have it expanded to include the whole building, that's all. And
Bill, let me ask you a question.
It's all contingent upon me complying with state and local laws, yeah.
All right, Bill, let me ask you a question. The downstairs service area, there's no bar, there's no bar stools, there's no sitting down inside that service area, correct?
I'd serve liquor there. There'll be a service bar there.
Right.
People walk in. I don't know if customers are allowed to walk in there and order a drink. Yeah, they can. I know they do it in Newport, but you take the drink and you go to a table and you sit down.
Right. So tables outside or the tables that may or may not be in the companionway, correct?
Right, exactly.
Okay, that's the way I read it on that.
In that hallway.
Well, I find the floor plan, it is a little confusing, man, trying to make sense of it. But if I knew the number of seats that you were going to increase and the time limit which you needed to, I could temporarily agree to it, like a sunset clause, like what, like you're going to look at it, you're going to try to move forward on it. It could be approved temporarily with the date to be, you know, included. And then maybe at that point it could go to the planning board. But I want to try to support this, but I need to be clear on how many seats and when is it going to stop? And then I can vote for it. And if it's going to keep going, that's fine, but then they get the clearance for it. I mean, it sounds like we're unsure of seating, where it's just not that clear. The map's kind of hard to follow. And you're like, we're just trying to determine this. We want to support him. We want to help Bill, but I think we need to be clear, additional on how many more people will be seated in the building, and when are we gonna like revisit in April? Like, we just have to put an end to it so we know we can do a check.
Then why are we not putting an end to all these other businesses out there?
Well, we didn't.
Where's the
approve it.
restrictions? I could start
We didn't
naming them. I could
approve
start
them.
naming all these other bars and restaurants. I could start naming them off. Okay.
Actually,
Now,
none
why
of
all of
them-
a sudden this guy is you know, a special case?
Patrick, none of them had indoor expansion. The COVID emergency was very specific to outdoor expansion. The governor's order, it was specific. And now what we're doing is saying, we're just gonna skip all the boards. We're gonna skip the normal
We're not
process.
saying, no, what we're saying is this guy is making an attempt to take it outside. If he has a couple tables in a companionway, which will probably not be approved by the state, but if they are approved by the state on the COVID guidelines, then who are we to not let him try it?
Well, that's what we're saying.
If you're
Let's
for
say
pro-business,
yes.
give
I
this
agree
guy
with
a
that.
shot.
Let's say yes, but let's have some conditions on it.
All right, what are the conditions? July 1st, we go
I
down
want to
there,
know specifically how many additional.
party and see how it works out? Ay, ay, ay.
I mean, in the memo today, it said 84, so that's close to 100 additional seats. I just would want to know, for me personally, as one member of the council, I want to support Captain Foggy's. I want him to support the COVID initiative to take it outside. And I could say yes to this, but I want to know how many additional seats are we talking about? And then when
Well,
is it?
he's not
stop?
gonna get,
Is it
he's
over in
not
the
gonna get
spring?
seats out on the road. I think I counted 16 there, so he's not.
So Bill,
now
what's
we're down
the
to,
increase in seats for your business? What would be the bottom line number of increase in your seating?
Well, it's not the bottom line. It's what I've already explained and what I've submitted drawings for. And what it is 32 to 40 seats is what I came up with.
there you go.
32 to 40 seats.
But you understand there's something being missing here. What you're saying is I'm adding things on and that I'm opening up inside dining. I'm not opening up inside dining. It exists now. And I go into restaurants all the time that have inside dining. It's not that I'm adding it. What I'm adding is the outdoor portion of it.
Right.
And because I was sent a letter from the town clerk's office saying that I could do that. Now, I was invited to do this, and now there's been placed on. It doesn't make sense. Why did you tell me that I could do this if now you're saying that I can't do it? I am not opening up a new hallway. The hallway has been there as long as I've been there. It's been there for 50 years. And it's been served. People have been served out there for 50 years. All I'm doing is asking to serve drinks out there with the food. Now I just serve food out there. Now I serve sandwiches out there. You know, I serve coffee out there. I serve cold drinks out there. I want to add a beer, a glass of wine, a margarita, or a Manhattan, a martini. Somebody's waiting for the boat because I don't have to go upstairs. I can handle it with 2 or 3 people downstairs on the first floor. That's it. You know, and while that's going on, I need that downstairs to open up for the longevity of my business. And
Right.
what I want to do is get something going now so I have some income so I can pay my taxes to the town, pay my water bill, pay my utilities and everything else I have. A lot of expenses there with that big building, which is vacant, to be honest with you. And if I can get that operating there so I can cover my costs, at the same time, I can be looking at developing the downstairs business long-term by going to the planning board, going through the zoning commission, going to the state and getting everything in line, which it always has been. That place was that entire restaurant was a restaurant at one time. Upstairs.
Milk Lounge, it was Milk Lounge.
Yeah, upstairs and downstairs. Well, I want
Mark Davis, I have a question.
Actually, real quick, Scott, sorry, Terry, Terry Donovan, did you have your hand up to say something?
Thank you. As a panelist, I can't raise my hand the way the participants can. Sorry about the interruption. I just wanted to provide some context that earlier this year, in the beginning of May, with the emergency orders that were in place and the encouragement to allow some outdoor service by the governor so as to reduce the indoor seating, the sitting town council at that time approved some plans for some businesses that had submitted their plan for outdoor service during the COVID pandemic to relieve their indoor seating. So that was back in May. No application was made by Mr. Tetlow at that time. So as we got toward renewal time and the emergency situation was still in effect, the council directed that as part of the renewal process to reach out to those businesses that had requested outdoor expansion, if they were interested in perhaps making that more permanent than temporary, that they should express that to the council. So 9 businesses did. That was approved by prior council. Somewhat informal process, but it was considered temporary. And in the end, the council decided that they would do that and review it at the next renewal, which would be December of 21, unless there was an issue that was brought to their attention before then. So
complaint driven.
Correct. So subsequent to that approval for those 9, we received 2 additional applications for outdoor expansion. One was granted by the town council at the last meeting on December 7th. And then this one was continued because you wanted to have more of a dialogue with the applicant, and also because this particular proposal also included an expansion of indoor service. So according to the state laws and the Department of Business Regulation with regard to licensed premises for the service of alcohol, even if it's just a service bar, that's an expansion of the licensed premises. Right now, the licensed premises for this liquor license is only the 2nd floor. So there is a process. There's state law, there's a process, there's regulations, there's public hearings, there's abutter notifications, a very defined process for expansion of service indoors. So I think there's 2 different things, that there is a proposal for some outdoor tables for outdoor enjoyment of food and beverage, however convenient or inconvenient that is to transport that food and alcoholic beverage to those outside tables. But if it's going to be an expansion of the licensed premises, whether it's temporary or permanent, I don't think the state law can be ignored.
Well done, Terry. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Patrick, do you have a question for Mark?
I had a question for Mark. Mark, is this in line with the governor's, take it outside initiative to try to assist businesses through this, COVID situation?
I think Terry just stated it perfectly. Patrick, take it outside initiative means take it outside. And listening to Bill, I don't have the plan, but listening to Bill, that seems to me to be an expansion of inside. And as Terry laid out, the state law, and then of course the town of Narragansett has a process in which one must go through to expand that. And I just caution you because everything that the town council has dealt with to date has been with outdoor expansion. You set the precedent here with allowing somebody to circumvent not only the state law requirements, but the zoning and planning requirements for indoor expansion. You can rest assured that you will have applications coming in steadily from all the other businesses in town that want to expand.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean adding on to your business or your physical presence, but it does mean expanding your service area for which you have received approval. Number of occupants, number of tables, number of seats.
Spaces.
So it shouldn't be confused that expansion means I'm adding on to the real property. That's not what it means.
I totally understand what you and Terry have just explained to me. Now, my question is, can we approve this expansion for this applicant and let him go through the process? So come April 1st, when he's ready to open the doors, if he gets through those hurdles, he doesn't have to come back to us and say, can I have a liquor license? I say we let him expand, give him as much rope as he needs, and somebody along the way might or may not shut him down. We're not, bypassing the law. We're just, giving him the opportunity to pursue it.
I really don't think you can. I mean, you can, but I think it'd be challenged because you'd be usurping the planning and zoning boards. And the whole process there is, they have to give notice to abutters, they have to have hearings, and then they make their recommendations. And to try to unwind that, I think it's.
Well, I'm not trying. If he has to go through that process, it's still a process.
Yeah,
we're just saying, yes, you can expand your license. Go for it.
I don't think you should be allowed to act as if you've gotten the approval before you've gotten the approval.
Well, the guy's trying to take it outside. He can't.
But he can take it out. I agree with.
Yeah, but he can't hump. He can't hump all that food and drink up and down them stairs. I mean, that's the issue.
Yeah.
So the guy's trying to expand outside. He needs a service area, to bring stuff down, a service area where he can store stuff and then bring it outside. All right. I think we're in line with the governor's emergency order. Okay.
Yeah,
this business is trying to survive. We're helping this business survive.
Yeah, no, I understand it. He's closed until April. It's December. Maybe there's a way to accelerate, giving the notice, getting the public hearings to get a flavor from planning and zoning while he works simultaneously with the state. But I do think he has the time to start the process. And I think it'd be prudent to go through that process. And in April, if he's made every good faith attempt and zoning and planning, don't foresee a problem, then maybe there's a discussion. But I think it's really premature, and I think he should start the process and work diligently to get through the process by the time he opens. That's my legal opinion.
Okay. Well, you're the attorney.
All right, so we have a couple options here. Patrick, if you want to make a motion to approve what you think should be approved, you could do that. We can make a motion to approve a portion of this, which would be basically just the outdoor seating. We do need to go to the public for public comment if there is any. But is there a preference?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the outdoor additional seating at the COVID time. I'm concerned too about the indoor, so I would be happy with the outdoor service if I have anybody that would support that.
I'll make the motion, or I'll second. Sorry. Dan, are there any on this motion, or is there anyone from the public?
May I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, you could go ahead.
Well, once again, if you look at the design to open up outside serving, it specifically states that you want plans presented to show where the service area is going to be and how it's going to be handled. And my service area doesn't make sense if I'm going to have I can't have outdoor dining upstairs because I don't have the place to expand it up there. So if I'm going to do it downstairs, doesn't it make sense for me to have the area that I'm serving it down there as well? I mean, to me, that's where the common sense came into the whole thing. That's what I'm looking for. Again, I'm not expanding downstairs. That exists now. I think if Wayne might speak, I think he looked at what I had there and he said, yeah, I think what he said to me is, yeah, this looks all right to me. And it does. It just looks all right. I mean, once again, if I can't open up that downstairs, it's already open. We used it this summer to serve sandwiches and everything in there. We're not changing anything there. All we're going to do is just allow people to have a glass of wine in there. That's all. So I don't understand putting up the roadblocks before it even has a chance to get off the ground. I don't understand that.
I agree.
All right, thank you. Dan, who's next?
Stanley Wojciechowski.
Stanley, first name and address, please.
Stanley Wojciechowski, Boston Neck Road. We all know that a business can't survive without serving alcohol. They got to serve alcohol. And this all has been around. This is not, let's give them the opportunity to survive, especially at this time. Give them the opportunity to survive. Police them down the line. A few months or whatever, when his license comes for renewal over, you can always deal with all the details. But right now, we need to act right away to save anyone willing to conduct business in Narragansett. We just don't need more people shutting down here. Let's support those who are working, hardworking people who are trying to survive. Let's support them and worry about these details later on. We can deal with them. Please give them a shot. Police them later as time goes on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so that's it from the public. Just a couple thoughts from me, I guess. There are plenty of restaurants that have seating on the second floor that don't have bars on the second floor. You go to Matunic Oyster Bar, you sit upstairs. They carry those drinks up from downstairs to upstairs, and plenty of other places do. I know it's not ideal, you'd want something more convenient, but not every restaurant is set up to expand outdoors naturally. This is a stopgap, It's supposed to make things a little bit better to get through the pandemic. But once we start expanding liquor licenses without any sort of public hearing, notification, board review, I think Mark is totally right. If I owned a bar, I would try to buy whoever's next door to me and then go to the town council and say, let me expand into there because you just did it. And how do you say no then? So I'm fine with what Susan said. And I hope that the owner does go to planning and they approve it. Because I would be completely fine with them going through the process of getting that expansion and making that bar even better. But it has to go through the process. So that's all.
So I think,
Well said,
I think what he was saying is, yeah, like the Matunic Oyster Bar does have upstairs dining. And they may not have the service area, but look at the staff they have. He's not going to hire the staff. He's not going to, he'd have to hire more staff to be able to serve from upstairs to downstairs. I mean, it's not, I don't know. And I don't understand why, I guess my thing is because of how COVID has been this year, just a case by case basis. And I know it might open the floodgates, but really he owns the building, he pays the taxes. It's sort of a different scenario in my mind.
I got to go back to my emotion with Jesse. I just think process is everything. If we start deviating and people can just come to the council and we can make the rules it's not going to be, it's going to be chaotic. So I'd rather stay the course, give him the outside approval, but any major changes to the inside service of liquor has to go through the right chain
Well,
because
there's many other things that's been going on in these different bars and restaurants that has been counter to state law, believe me. DEM, parking, number of parking issues, parking per seat, that's been overlooked. I mean, there's so many other things that have been overlooked. I mean, all right, I'm gonna go with our attorney's advice. Let's get Susan's motion passed here, and the owner can get moving it. And then we can approve it when he's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we want him to be successful. We want to support him. I think it's the right thing for tonight. We all can have an opportunity to say yes tonight, hopefully, and then as we move forward, we can go through the process. But I
have
take
one more question for Mark.
Mark's advice. I mean, I think you guys explained it quite well, and I stand by that.
Mark, can we get a ruling from the state on this one?
I think he would have to go get the ruling, Patrick, on whether you're talking about whether it's indoor or outdoor on the first floor hallway.
Right. Well, I think it's more the service bar. I mean, if he can't have the seats in the companionway there, I think that's fine with him, because and then all the rest would be outside. But I think the issue is you're saying that he's expanding the liquor license by going down the first floor and having that service area. I mean, to me, I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I have to go by your advice. Okay.
Yeah. Listen,
So-
I'm pro business and I agree with everything that people are saying, but I don't think this is a gray area, unfortunately.
Okay.
Moving that service bar downstairs is an expansion. It's not like, it's not a gray area. It's an expansion.
Yeah. All right. All right. So
The
Susan,
motion
let's
would be to
vote on
approve-
it.
Yeah, the motion would be to approve the outdoor expansion.
Outdoor
Take
seating.
it outside, and then Bill will do his due diligence and do his work on that side. And we want to be on the record for supporting businesses in the town. So we got to try to help him thus far. Do I have a second on that motion, Jesse?
Second.
I
He did
second it.
second
Yeah.
it. He seconded it.
All right. Any last thoughts? Call the vote.
Oh,
Okay.
Terry,
Terry.
you go.
I just want to be clear. I think I have it as 32 seats, and that it would be outdoor seating in the front, the back, and the side, but not the center corridor.
Right.
For now.
Okay.
And I had 32 to 40 seats. So Bill, was it 30? Is that the number we said, 32, correct?
He's
Because he gave a range and I wanted it more specific.
I think the 40 included the parking spaces.
I'm sorry, we were muted. I couldn't get to you. My tech service person fell apart on me.
No, it's fine. You're doing great. 32 to 40 was it 32 seats?
Yeah, I don't know how I can stress, I don't know how I can put this across. It doesn't seem to be registering. I'm not expanding in the hallway.
We're just trying to finish up the motion and we just needed the specific number. So 32.
32.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So to the vote, Susan.
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Sorry, Eva.
So I'm sorry, just a clarification. So just expansion outside and then nothing other than no service area?
The applicant would have to go to planning and zoning to get approval for the inside and then come back to the council. We could approve that.
Okay,
That's
and
what
then
this motion is.
what's the timeline for something like that? Because I'm not familiar with what, like, if he were to do that, like how many, does that take months? Does that take weeks? Does that take?
It'll be months. Mr. Mike DeLuca, do you mind just giving a little bit of insight on that?
Sure, Council President. We have a bit of a backlog at the moment, but if the application were to come in the next few weeks, we'd likely see it in March. And that would bring it through to April the planning board would see it in March, April in front of the zoning board.
And then once it's seen in the zoning board, so then he wouldn't be able to do it in April if it doesn't sound like the timeline would even fit for what he
Well,
wants to do and be able to.
I'm just
survive.
letting you know. I'm just
Oh, I'm
letting
just
you know
asking
that
because I wasn't sure what the timeline was, so.
in an ordinary timeframe, it would probably be a month less than that. But we've had a great deal of applications for all forms of development recently, and the boards are a bit backlogged. So I'm just giving you a realistic time frame. It would be up to Ms. Donovan to decide, and maybe Mr. Davis to weigh in on whether or not his application for the license, the permanent license change, could run coincidentally with the planning zoning board application so that the timing could be tightened up a little bit. But I don't want to put words in their mouths. Let them answer that for you.
Okay, and then just a follow-up question for Mark Davis. So there, you don't see any gray area. You think this is a black and white issue where the state can't even intervene on just the fact that this is a COVID year and there's no leeway in something like on a case-by-case basis. That's kind of the answer I'm looking for.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that would suggest that there's a process for applying for a hardship around the necessary approvals. I'm not aware of any. So
yeah, unfortunately there should be with, but.
Yeah. So the answer is no, I'm not aware of any, I'm not aware of any exceptions to the rules for indoor expansion. And again, just to address what Bill said, expansion means expanding where you are serving liquor from. So he was approved for a certain area to serve liquor. Anything beyond that space is called an expansion, whether you're serving,
Mark, I got one more question.
Yes.
What if he shut down liquor service completely upstairs and that was shut down?
Yeah, technically it doesn't help them.
Doesn't work that way.
No.
All right.
But I think, I can't speak for the process. I mean, Steve Marcella is the one that supports planning and zoning. But Mike sets forth a timeline of April. I don't think Bill is opening until April. So there may, even on this extended deadline, he may be a couple of weeks behind his opening. But I think if he gets on it now, he can be close to when he actually opens. And if it needs to be moved along a couple of weeks with the support of the council, as Mike said, I think there's a couple of things that can be done to maybe shuffle a couple of weeks around, but I think he needs to get on it. Like if he really wants the indoor expansion, he needs to start the process like tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. So that's kind of clear then. All right. With I guess I'll support with the hope that we can actually do what we can to expedite the process. We'll go through the motions of what it should be, but I definitely, this is a side topic too, is just looking to the state for guidance, and maybe the state should be looking at doing more for small business community in this time. So anyway, so yeah, I guess.
Okay, so it's a yes with some side notes.
That's just me, like, it hurts.
Deb Kopek. I echo a lot of what's being said, so I don't want to just, take any more time, and my vote is yes.
All right, Patrick?
Patrick Murray, aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0, and hopefully we'll be discussing this in the next few months as well, and getting this done. All right. I thought for a second we were going to have our first split vote, but we have not. Didn't manage to get it done. All right, number 20.
Don't worry, keep working on it.
All right, we got one. Number 23, a motion to approve an amendment to the conservation easement that exists on Plat K, Lot 460-8, 1034 Ocean Road to state the barrier fence depicted for the outdoor swimming pool as depicted on the plan of Waterman Engineering Company dated July 11th, 2019 for this specific property is consistent with the conservation easement and authorize the town manager sign the document to the conservation easement. So I don't think anyone probably comprehended what I was saying there. So basically what this is, it's on through the town clerk, but what it is a property along the water has an in-ground pool with a fence. CRMC resurveyed that land because of erosion along the water. So the property has actually moved in because the coast has eroded. And now that fence is not as far from that line, that ocean line, as it was before. So they need a easement to have that fence with closer to the erosion point than it was before because the land changed. So that's what this is. So this is approval for that easement. And Terry, if I wasn't clear, if you want to add anything, that's fine. Okay, that's good. All right. Any questions?
There's no expansion here then.
And then we're going to let them serve alcohol.
Okay, all right, good. Right. I'm ready after that agenda.
You're invited. All right.
President, did this come with any recommendation from
We
any?
we didn't have a motion yet.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion. Susan.
Second. All right. Second from Patrick. There are supporting documents on this, yes.
Lots of
I
them.
didn't see the, I see planning board recommendation. Okay.
There's about 30 pages of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was recommended. It was.
Yeah, okay, I see it. I got it.
Yeah, it was.
That's an interesting situation, huh?
Don't worry, that ocean keeps marching in. You won't have to worry about that fence.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that if the ocean marches in, that they pick the fence up before it falls into the ocean.
Yeah, or in the pool.
Or in the well, I don't care if it falls in the pool.
You're splashing around there.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Everyone's good on this?
Yeah.
All right. There's no one with their hand up, so we'll go to the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Jazinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
And Patrick?
Aye.
SCPU, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 24 is a motion to appoint, reappoint, and confirm 6 employee representatives to the pension board and appoint, reappoint 2 other individuals to the pension board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second by Patrick Murray. So the recommended appointments are in the motion. There's 2 council appointments, which are members of the public. There's a non-union employee, excuse me? Oh, sorry, I thought someone said something.
Sorry, nothing.
Employee rep. And then we have the union reps who are basically recommended from that union, but still goes through the approval process from the council. So any questions on this?
The 2 reps that are appointed by the town council, how does that work?
So those are applicants. These would be renewals.
Oh, okay. So do we have any applicants?
Yeah, it's in the binder.
Oh, I missed that. Okay. I didn't see that. I read it. I just missed that.
So this is on as one motion, because we've done this with some others where we
Right.
reappoint everyone at once. But if anyone
Oh, I
wants,
see them. I'm sorry.
if anybody is interested in pulling any of these out individually and doing appointments that way, we could do that, but it's set up as one.
Yeah, I think did somebody already make the motion, move the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, and somebody seconded it, so
Yep.
we can just vote on it then? I think we should just vote on it. I didn't have any
Yeah.
issues with appointing.
All right. We just have one hand up from the public.
It's Catherine Seliberta.
Catherine, first name and address, please.
Catherine Seliberta, 48 Earls Court. I want to oppose the reappointment of Mr. Baruda. Mr. Baruda is a town council appointment, and he represents essentially the residents and the taxpayers, as does Jerry Sahajian. Mr. Baruda, let me give you a little history for the people who weren't on the town council before. A few years ago, a police officer, Matthew Riley, his house was raided by 3 different police agencies. Various electronics were seized. They proceeded to the police station, seized electronics that he had used during work. Chief Corrigan suspended him. He immediately put in his retirement papers. So now his request proceeds to the board. The town manager at the time, Jim Manny, went to the board twice, and asked the board not to vote to decide whether or not he was going to get a pension, because any fool knew that he was soon to be indicted. Of course, the police officer on the board pushed the board to vote. As our representatives, the taxpayer representatives, Everett and Yaney, I think his name was at the time, he voted against giving Mr. Riley a pension. Mr. Baruda voted for giving Mr. Riley a pension. There was absolutely no irreparable harm at all for a delay in this vote, because Mr. Riley had been paid out $65,000 in his unpaid, his unused vacation and sick leave. Terry noted that for the board. And again, our town manager went to the board twice and asked them to delay a vote. And I feel that our representatives, the taxpayer representatives, who are the town council appointees, should not have voted at that time, especially not voted to give a pension. One didn't, and Mr. Baruda did. And I don't know if he doesn't understand the process. He didn't understand how serious this was, but I just feel as our representative, he should have voted against giving him a pension. Subsequently, his pension was revoked. Mr. Riley's pension was revoked. And it's proceeded to court. His pension was reinstated. Now we're appealing it. It's a long, sordid story. Mr. Riley is presently a town resident. He has been ordered to be registered as a sex offender for life, And I don't know if Mr. Baruda didn't understand, like I said, the process, but I feel it's our representative, our taxpayer representative. When the town manager goes to the board and asks, please delay a vote, then I feel that he should not have voted. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, so that is it for public comment. Any thoughts before we vote?
This one's a tough one. I haven't had a chance to review any of this one. Let's continue it. Let's continue.
There's no rush on this, I don't believe.
Yeah.
All right, so can I make a motion to continue?
Second.
All right, any discussion on that? Okay, no public comment.
Oh, Terry has her hand up.
Sorry, just a clarification. Is that a continuation of all of the appointments or just the public representatives?
Oh.
Yeah, I would say the whole group.
Okay. Good, thank you.
All right, if there's no other thoughts, nobody from the public has their hand up, so we can go ahead and vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Drushinsky, aye.
Deb?
Kobeck, aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. Number 25 is a motion to direct the town clerk regarding increasing the number of authorized liquor licenses in 2021. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
Second.
Second by Eva. Discussion?
This is a clarification. So once a year you advertise to see if people want to apply, right, Terry? Is that correct? Sorry.
That's correct. The way it's written in the council's rules for liquor licenses, this would be the time that the council would put out the notice of consideration of expansion of the limits of licenses.
Use that word again.
Yeah. But it it's the council's rule. So it's the council's rule to either direct me to place that ad or to waive it, because limits right now are not as much of a consideration. I don't think the ad is a bad idea in any event, because it does put notice to any interested parties that a special use permit is required before they can obtain a new license. So, it serves that function as well, but however council directs.
Thank you, Terry.
Okay. All right. There's no public comment, so let's go ahead to the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Drzezinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
All right.
Jesse Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. And we have number 26 is a motion to authorize the town clerk to advertise upcoming appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. Is there a motion?
I'll move that motion, Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
And is there a second?
Second.
All right. Discussion, questions?
No, I just had a question. Since we have a workshop January 11th, are you going to advertise it right after that so you can get a little more clarity, or it will be a general advertisement? Because just curious.
Whatever the council wishes. Normally, this is like a blanket advertisement. It does list all of the various boards and commissions. Even if there's no existing vacancy on them, we always run the ad to solicit applications to have on file in the event a term is not completed by a sitting member or an expiration occurs. We always keep applications for 2 years. So it kind of sets up, a pool of volunteers, and they indicate on their application which boards or committees they have interest in. And so they can certainly select as many as they like, and we just retain those for future reference. So, but we can delay it until after the work session, whichever you prefer.
Okay.
But could we also, do we advertise in various, like, do you just do the newspaper, like we're on that website? So there, I guess, just so it's like more of a broad based, notification to a lot of individuals. I don't know what normally we would do. Is it newspaper, or is it
newspaper? Yeah,
I'm trying to think of any other,
times.
Trying to think of any other modes of
I think it's state regulated, isn't it, Terry?
For some of the boards and commissions, this could be, as far as how that information is disseminated, that could be a topic for the work session.
Okay.
If you wanted to, do broader notification or even more specific notification at each board or committee has a vacancy with a little bit more detail about what the duties and responsibilities are, could certainly do some additional notification on like the town's website. But this again is something that's specified in the council rules for boards and commissions that states that there'll be an annual notice to anyone who's interested in submitting an application to volunteer.
So maybe we should wait till after we have the workshop, and, at the workshop, we can indicate that this will be, available wherever it is that we end up deciding it's going to be available. Beside, it'll be the Narragansett Times, but I also think the website also. But just as part of the, making people aware of the fact that this is how you can get involved in town government.
And, the methods of advertising is something that's kind of been not changed in a long time, just because it's kind of an obligatory procedural thing. But we could always have a discussion and go over this in a meeting and decide if we want to expand that, make it a rule. The other thing to think about for the ad, just on the flip side, if it was advertised before the workshop, we could then put the date of the workshop in the advertisement if we wanted to draw people to the workshop. So
That's a good idea,
maybe, I'm just saying that, Terry is thinking maybe not.
Just do it. I'm sorry. Just doing a mental calculation about the publication dates and the deadlines. I think we
Yeah.
can get,
Well, Jesse, you have a lot of fans on Facebook. You might be able to advertise.
I'm trying to get away from Facebook.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And we'll just try, I'll just
move
cross
on
that
to
one
the
off. I'll cross that one off there. I'll just cross it right off.
That's right. No Facebook.
Anyway, just a thought. I mean, we could talk about that, but it would be a way to publicize that workshop if we wanted to.
Oh, boy.
All right. So, any other questions?
No.
All right. No one's got their hand up, so we'll go to the vote. Susan?
Susan Cicilline Bonanno, aye.
Eva?
Eva Jasinski, aye.
Deb?
Deb Kopeck, aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
Trustee Pugh, aye. Motion approved 5-0. And we have shaved 1 hour and 20 minutes off our average meeting time. So
Good
that's
job, good job.
Yeah. Motion.
And
to
how many
adjourn.
lives have we ruined? No, no.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn, we'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Holidays.
Motion to adjourn.
And we look forward to 2021.
Yeah.
2021. No
Yeah.
COVID.
No.
Don't bring any
Yeah.
COVID.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Eva. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye.
Thank you. Merry
guys.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Hey, well.
Christmas.